Good evening, and for the next few moments, let go of everything you think you know about the life in front of you. Just for a little while, imagine that reality is much bigger than the narrow path your five senses show you each day. Imagine a wide, unseen landscape filled with outcomes, identities, and experiences you have not stepped into yet. Maybe the future you want is not a faraway dream that must be built from nothing. Maybe it already exists as living potential, waiting for your attention, your choices, and your inner vision to give it shape. For ages, spiritual teachings have spoken about the creative power of consciousness. And today, even modern ideas about energy and possibility inspire the same bold question. Could reality hold far more versions of life than the one you are living right now? If that is true, then imagination is not just escape. It is the first inner room where a new life can be formed before it ever appears in the world of action. Stay with me, because this changes everything. If many possibilities are always present, then why do people keep living the same story again and again? Why the same fears, the same patterns, the same results, the same heavy feeling that nothing ever truly moves? The answer may be closer than you think. It may begin with the state of consciousness you are occupying right now, this very moment, without even knowing it. And once you see that clearly, you begin to understand that a different reality may be closer than your own next breath. Look honestly at your life right now. Really look. You are living inside a certain state of consciousness, a certain inner position, a certain deep story about who you are and what is possible for you. But hear this clearly. It is not the only state available to you. Countless other versions of reality are open right now, waiting for you to step into them. Yet so many people stay locked in the same loop of assumption. They replay the same thoughts, react from the same fears, expect the same outcomes, and then wonder why life keeps handing them the same experience in a different wrapper. Here is the truth that can set you free. You are not trapped because of fate. You are not stuck because life chose you for struggle. You are not powerless before outside conditions. You are stuck because your whole inner system is still tuned to old assumptions about yourself, and life keeps echoing those assumptions back to you. Reality does not answer your wishes in the way most people think. It answers the deepest story you keep calling true. An assumption, even when it begins as something false, can become solid fact if it is held long enough and felt deeply enough. Let that sink in. Everything you have lived through began first as an inner position in consciousness. Your outer world is not random in the deepest sense. It is a delayed mirror, a shadow made visible, a picture developed from thoughts and feelings you return to so often that they became normal to you. And what became normal became real. There was a time when I did not understand this at all. I was young, working in a small family shop, dreaming of a different life, longing for more space, more freedom, more meaning, but seeing no clear bridge from where I stood to where I wanted to go. I would watch people who seemed successful and free and assume they belonged to some separate world, a world that had nothing to do with me. Maybe you have felt that too. Maybe you've looked at someone else's life and quietly decided that kind of joy, peace, love, or abundance was made for them and not for you. But the great shift came when I began to see that consciousness is not a side part of reality. It is the root of it. And once I started changing my assumptions about myself, my world began to move. I used to think wanting something with enough passion would be enough. I believed that strong desire alone would open doors. I would lie awake at night aching for a better life, but still wake up inside the same old inner identity. And that is where most people miss the point. Desire by itself does not create. Wanting alone does not transform. The deeper creative power does not answer the part of you that begs. It answers the part of you that assumes. You can want wealth while still assuming lack. You can want love while still assuming you are not enough. You can want success while secretly expecting failure. Which message do you think life responds to most strongly? Always the deeper one. Always the more natural one. Always the one you return to without effort. This is why people can repeat affirmations, make plans, build vision boards, and still feel trapped in the same old life. On the surface, they are asking for something new, but underneath they are still broadcasting the old story. It is like planting seeds in soil that is already soaked with the chemistry of fear. I once knew someone who wanted financial freedom more than anything. She spent hours imagining a life of ease and plenty. She pictured open doors, extra income, peace around money. But every time she opened her wallet, checked a bill, or looked at her account, her body tightened with fear. Her heart said lack. Her nerves said danger. Her habit said not enough. She was trying to grow abundance in soil still ruled by scarcity. And the deeper field of life responded to the stronger signal, not the prettier words. This is where things become both simple and serious. Many possibilities may exist, yes, but the version you meet is shaped by what you consistently assume to be true. In that sense, you are not creating from empty space. You are selecting from possibilities already present and stepping into one through your repeated inner agreement with it. That is why the life you call real often feels so familiar. It matches the frequency of your most practiced assumptions. Circumstances are not the first cause. They are the later effect. They are yesterday's inner states hardened into visible form. And if that is true, then the doorway forward is not found by wrestling with appearances. It is found by changing the inner position from which those appearances were born. This is where imagination becomes far more important than most people think. It is not a childish game. It is the inner workshop where a different life can be built before the outer world catches up. Think about this carefully. Before any action becomes natural, before any result becomes visible, it usually exists first as an image, a feeling, a quiet inner rehearsal. The problem is that most people try to create from the small conscious surface of the mind, while a much larger part underneath is still programmed with old fear, old shame, old doubt, and old limitation. And the deeper level speaks louder. Science now agrees that much of human behavior runs from stored patterns below conscious awareness. Add to that the strange truth that observation changes what is experienced, and a powerful idea appears. Most of the time, it is not your bright daytime intentions shaping your world. It is your hidden assumptions doing the real work. That is why people change jobs, cities, partners, even whole lifestyles, yet keep meeting the same emotional pattern again and again. The outer setting changes, the inner observer does not. So the story repeats. If someone says, "I tried changing my life and nothing happened," what they often mean is, "I changed the scenery, but I did not change the self who was looking at it." Do not miss this part. The life you keep meeting may not be chasing you. It may be following the signal you keep sending. And until the sender changes, the message stays the same. Your subconscious mind works like a radio tower. It keeps sending a signal all day and all night, even when you are not paying attention. And life, so responsive in ways most people never notice, keeps arranging conditions that match that signal. If the deeper message is fear, fearful scenes seem to appear. If the message is lack, scarcity keeps showing up. If the message is unworthiness, situations arrive that somehow confirm it. I once knew a man who wanted love very badly. He dated often, went out, met new people, tried every outer method he could think of, and still ended up alone. When he finally looked beneath the surface, he found a painful old belief planted in childhood, that he was difficult to love. He did not say it out loud, but he lived from it. Every new meeting passed through that filter. His body carried it, his tone carried it, his expectations carried it. The deeper signal kept pushing connection away before it had room to grow. And here is something many people completely miss. Your nervous system does not only receive life, it also broadcasts life. Every cell in the body begins to echo the assumptions you live in most often. So if your system is wired for stress, danger, and survival, then even while your mouth says peace and abundance, your body may still be shouting threat. That is why empty affirmations can fail. The field of life responds to the true signal, not the performed one. This is also why the state close to sleep matters so much. In that soft, drowsy edge, resistance becomes weaker. The hard guard of the conscious mind steps aside, and it becomes easier to feel the reality of your wish as if it were already true. I learned this through direct experience. In my early attempts to change my life, I struggled to hold new thoughts during the day. Logic interrupted me. Doubt argued back. Old emotional habits pulled me down before the new vision had time to take root. But in that quiet state between waking and sleep, something changed. There I could slip more easily into the feeling of the life I wanted. I did not just think about it, I entered it. I felt the satisfaction of already being the person I wished to become. At one point, while living a very modest life and feeling boxed in by current conditions, I began each night to imagine myself speaking clearly, helping others, being received with warmth and attention. I felt the room, the confidence, the calm joy of knowing I had something real to share. That inner act was simple, but it carried force because it was felt, not just pictured. And this leads to the heart of the whole practice. The transformation you seek is not about fighting your present reality every minute of the day. It is about withdrawing your belief from it. Stop feeding the old state. Stop giving your deepest agreement to what you no longer want. Then invest that belief in the reality you will rather live. When I say assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, I mean something very exact. Feel yourself to be the person for whom the desire is already true. Not trying, not waiting, not hoping, being. This is what it means to live from the end. Not from struggle, not from missing, from fulfillment. And when that state becomes familiar, life begins to shift around it. If freedom is your desire, then you must become inwardly familiar with the feeling of freedom. If love is your desire, you must become inwardly familiar with the feeling of being loved and loving in return. If abundance is your desire, you must learn the inner posture of someone who is no longer afraid of not having enough. How do they breathe? How do they choose? How do they speak? What do they no longer panic about? What do they no longer chase? This is where many people stumble. They visit the state they want, but they do not stay there. They touch it for a few inspired minutes, then move back into the old house of fear and call that realism. I once met a woman buried in debt who practiced this work only in flashes. She would feel strong for a day or two, then slide back into worry, complaint, and inner defeat. She said nothing was changing, but the truth was simple. She was visiting abundance like a tourist, and then going back home to lack. And life reorganizes itself around the state you live in most, not the state you visit once in a while. So the work is not one dramatic act. It is repeated return, quiet return, patient return. When old thoughts rise, you do not wrestle with them all night. You notice them and you return. When your body slips into the old identity, you do not punish yourself. You return. Each return teaches your mind a new pattern. Each return teaches your body a new emotional home. Each return strengthens the signal of the life you are choosing. This is not fake positivity. It is inner training. It is identity work at the root. There is a practical way to live this every day. Before your feet touch the floor in the morning, before messages, before noise, before the world tells you who you are, take a quiet moment and ask, who am I choosing to be today? Not what must I fix? Not what might go wrong. Who am I being? Because what you are in consciousness shapes what you meet in the day ahead. Then during the day, practice embodied response. Watch how you speak, choose, spend, react, and move. If you are assuming peace, do your reactions carry peace? If you are assuming abundance, do your choices carry trust or panic? If you are assuming love, is your heart open or defended at every turn? I once watched a man claim he believed in success, yet every time a real opening came, he pulled back in fear. He said he trusted life, but his actions revealed that he still believed opportunities were rare and that he could not trust himself. He wanted one thing and embodied another, so his world stayed the same. At night, review the day gently, not to judge yourself, to learn. Where did you stay aligned? Where did you fall back into the old script? Use the answer for correction, not shame. A change of feeling can become a change of destiny. Every time you hold the feeling of your fulfilled state a little longer, you strengthen a different future. Let that encourage you. Progress here is not loud. It is often quiet. But it is powerful. And if you keep going, one day the new identity stops feeling like practice and starts feeling like home. That is the turning point many people wait for, and it arises through persistence, not force.
Let me show you what that persistence can look like. I once knew a woman who had been told again and again that she would never become a mother. Years had passed. Treatments failed. Experts had no hope left to offer. She came carrying bitterness, grief, and a deep sense of defeat. But instead of feeding that old story, she began to assume the feeling of already being a mother. Each night she would fall asleep imagining a child in her arms, hearing soft breathing, feeling the weight and warmth of that little body resting against her. Outwardly, nothing changed for a long time. The facts still looked the same. The reports still looked the same. The opinions around her still looked final. But she kept returning to the new state. Not begging, not pleading, being. That gap between assumption and manifestation is where many people give up. But that gap is not empty. It is a bridge being built. You do not always see the beams going into place, but the structure is forming. In time, what seemed impossible shifted, and her life changed completely. I have seen the same pattern in other areas too. There was a period when I longed to live in a very different environment, one that felt larger, brighter, more alive than my present one. I had no clear path there, no money for a smooth passage, no visible connection strong enough to carry me. But night after night, I lived there inwardly. I walked those streets in imagination. I felt the atmosphere. I felt myself already woven into that life. And when the outer opening finally came, it did not feel like magic from nowhere. It felt like reality catching up to what had already become true inside me. The same principle appeared in the man who had been out of work for months. Day after day he searched with the posture of someone trying to escape failure, and the results matched that posture. Then one morning he decided to act from a different identity. He dressed as though he were already established in the role he desired. He looked at himself not as someone begging to be chosen, but as someone who already belonged in the world he wanted to enter. That shift mattered. He walked differently. He spoke differently. He carried a different signal. Before long, an unexpected opportunity arrived through a contact he had not even planned on. And when the meeting came, he did not have to force confidence. He had already practiced being the person who fit the role. This is the difference between idle wishing and real inner creation. Daydreaming drifts, creation directs. Daydreaming hopes, creation assumes. Daydreaming watches from a distance. Creation enters the scene and feels it from within. Even old sacred teachings point toward this when they describe reality being shaped by the inner word, by the unseen becoming seen. These stories are not only about distant times,
They are also about states of consciousness available right now. Faith is a state. Law is a state. Divine identity is a state. And the point is not to worship these ideas from far away. The point is to recognize them in your own inner life. Your desired reality is not hiding only in some remote future. It exists now as possibility in the living present. And when you assume it deeply enough, you begin closing the gap between desire and experience in a very real way. I also remember a woman whose marriage seemed finished. Separation had dragged on. Papers were involved. Friends told her to accept the ending and move on. Outwardly, the relationship looked dead. But instead of feeding the facts she feared, she began to assume the feeling of reconciliation. At night, she imagined the warmth of shared presence, the return of love, the calm certainty that what had been broken could be restored. At times, this inner experience became so real that waking up alone felt briefly surprising. People around her thought she was fooling herself, but she understood something important. What we call physical reality is often yesterday's inner agreement made visible. So if the old agreement could produce distance, a new agreement could begin producing return. It took time, months, not days. But little by little, the outer story softened. Calls came. Conversations changed. Presence returned. The visible world slowly rearranged itself around the new inner state she kept holding. This is why the period between assumption and result must never be treated like dead time. It is a creative season. During that season, every return to the new story is like casting another vote for the life you want. Every fall back into the old fear is a vote for the past. And the reality that gathers the most votes is usually the one that appears. So persistence matters, not because you are forcing life, but because you are strengthening one inner agreement until it becomes the dominant one. The field of possibility responds to consistency. It reflects the identity you inhabit most often. That is why changing your life begins with changing what feels normal inside you. With that power comes responsibility. Once you understand that your assumptions shape your experience, you must also face the question of what you are building. Are you using this creative power to shape more love, more peace, more abundance, more healing? Or are you unconsciously feeding fear, revenge, scarcity, and pain? I once knew a man so fixed on payback that he spent months imagining another person's downfall. His assumption was strong, emotional, and persistent, and the result eventually mirrored it. But instead of satisfaction, he felt empty. He had used the sacred power to darken life rather than enlarge it. That is why self-observation matters. Most people create by default. They inherit assumptions from family, culture, old wounds, and repeated failures, then live from those assumptions so long that they mistake them for truth. But inherited limitation is not final law. You can become a conscious creator instead of an unconscious one. And to do that, you must move past flat visualization into real feeling. Feeling is the engine. You must feel yourself to be the person you want to become until that identity becomes more real than the old one. When I first learned this, I made the mistake many people make. I tried to picture outcomes without entering their emotional reality. The images were weak. They had no life. Everything changed when I stopped merely seeing and started feeling. Not just seeing money, but feeling security. Not just seeing peace, but feeling rest. Not just seeing love, but feeling warmth, trust, and worthiness. When the feeling becomes real, the outer world begins to bend toward it.
So do not approach life like a beggar, asking the universe for scraps. That posture keeps the desire far away because it keeps repeating the feeling of not having. Do not pray from panic. Do not affirm from emptiness. Do not visualize from desperation. The state of fulfillment is different. It does not cling. It does not chase. It does not beg. It accepts. It knows. It becomes. That shift from wanting to being is one of the most powerful changes you can make. You are not trying to convince life to be kind. You are learning to stand in the consciousness of the reality you choose. And once you do that often enough, your world begins to answer in kind. Something may already be shifting in you as you read these words. A new possibility may be waking up. Good. Let it wake up fully. The version of you that lives with more joy, more power, more clarity, more peace is not fantasy. It is a present possibility waiting for your agreement. The time between assumption and manifestation is not punishment. It is the rhythm of creation. It is the unseen part of becoming. So begin now, not later, not when you feel fully ready, now. Choose the story you will keep telling with your thoughts, your feelings, your identity, and your quiet assumptions. Will you keep rehearsing the old life, or will you step into the greater one? Your imagination is not a toy. It is creative power. Use it well. Assume boldly. Return patiently. Hold the inner state with calm confidence and watch what begins to rearrange. The power has been within you all along. Now you know how to use it.